consistently attract soulmate clients, begin showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalyn Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spot that activates your soulgasmic business. Enjoy this light language activation as we begin to magnetize and monetize.
Hello. Good morning, my loves. Oh my gosh, get ready. Make sure you guys are sitting down because this is going to be a hot, sexy, juicy episode. I'm really excited about this. This is the first time that I am having 4 people all together, 2 couples. This is a pleasure in the bedroom and bank episode. Dan and I, Rosalyn Fung, are going to be hosting a very special couple, one of my favorite couples, Jay Fiset and his wife, Cory Fiset. Now, this is going to be for you if you are in a relationship, a committed relationship, and you want to deepen it. This is for you if you're feeling, as a couple, you're feeling stuck. You might be feeling maybe a little bit bored in your relationship. Maybe you're seeking for more, and you've tried, maybe you've even tried therapy or coaching, and it hasn't quite had that breakthrough you're truly desiring.
How do you take it to the next level?
Yeah, right? How do you take it to the next level? So we're going to get deeper into this episode around love, sex, and psychedelics. Dan and I will be speaking directly with our experience in working with Jay and Cory as our certified guide facilitators in psychedelic medicine. It's going to be really, really powerful. So if you've been following me, you may have seen that back in October 2022, Dan and I did the couples connection with Jay and Cory. And so we're now here creating this experience to chat live about it with you, so that if you have any questions, those of you who are live, we can answer it. And you guys can post your questions anyways, and connect, of course, afterwards with Jay and Cory to see if it would be aligned for you to dive deeper in with them. So before we formally welcome Jay and Cory and have them share their story and how they got to be doing this beautiful, sacred work in the world as a power couple, I want to just give Jay a shout out. Jay has been a mentor of mine since 2016. I think that's how far back Jay. I was still a psychologist, and I was, we were both at my very first speaking coaches conference in, where was that, Jay? Do you remember?
Well, that's a really good question. It was somewhere in California, I think.
I don't even remember, but I remember, this is just synchronicities. I was purging my home maybe like a couple months before that. And then I came across this book called Reframe Your Blame. And I'm like, I love this. And I was like, how did this book get on my book? Maybe my dad gave it to me. I'm not sure. And I was like, well, this looks really good. I don't know what this is about, but I'll keep it because it's a personal development book, so I'll keep it. And I was like, okay. And so fast forward, I'm at this event and I see Jay as one of the speakers, and I go up to him because he was at his vendor booth, and I'm like, hey, you're that guy on my bookshelf. That's the very first thing I said to you, Jay. Do you remember that? And then Jay's so charismatic, so he was just joking around with me, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe this is so crazy. Anyway, I ended up joining Jay in his powerful program called Masterminds to Millions, which I think you're running right now or very soon, right, Jay?
We are bringing it back March 23rd to 26th in Phoenix.
Oh, powerful. And so that was it. I saw him speak on stage. I joined. I'm like, wow. And fast forward, I've also worked with Jay and JVOLOGY. You guys know how I love to really talk about building authentic connections. And a huge part of success in business is that's a foundation. And so you're creating authentic connections for the win-win-win in terms of being joint affiliate partners with each other. So thank you so much for being such a huge impact in my life, Jay. Like, seriously. And you've connected us with our personal development coach, Rand, who was your business partner. You guys did these personal development courses together. Calgary, it's Creators Code. And in Edmonton, it's why is this slipping my mind right now? Integrity Seminars, thank you.
It's been a long time. I don't know.
I'm like, Rand, what's up? But anyway, Jay is one of those people that's just been really deeply in my life, even if we're not connected all the time and chatting all the time. Jay, I just want you to know, I've even had Jay speak on my own stages and at my Women Empowerment event back in 2019. And you just have so much influence on me. I just want you to know that. And so when Jay, you and Cory put out this couples retreat, Dan and I had, I think it was a month before, we put it on our vision board that we're going to do a couple retreat quarterly. And so when you guys put this out, it was like a no-brainer for us to like hop on. We even said yes before we could figure out our childcare. That's how much we wanted to be part of this.
I remember the message being, pick us. It was really cute. I'm like, oh, they're team.
Oh yeah, we were like, we cannot not be part of this.
And we were just at the beta test stage, right? So it was like, they're in. Okay, it's like, I guess we got to get stuff organized. It's like,
we're doing this.
That's right. Well, that's how much I trust both of you. I mean, you both also, you're going to be sharing a little bit more about your story, but I mean, you both have been running couples workshops as well and programs in the past. So, I just really trust you both. And I mean, why wouldn't I? You actually live all the concepts that you practice and preach. So
we do our best. We always live them. We do our best.
We do our best.
Yes.
And we are human, right? Which brings us, please share your story with us about, how you both found this sacred work and then decided to get certified as Psychedelic Guide Facilitators.
Wow. That's it. Where do we start?
I'm probably going to cry because every time I listen to your story, it makes me cry.
And just to address something you just said, we had someone say to us, because when we share about how we were struggling right before our 25th wedding anniversary, and we'll talk about that, and leading parallel lives, and we weren't, and this person said, but you guys used to facilitate all these, how could you be having any trouble, And it's like, because we're human beings and we're in a relationship, and we
have kids, and we buried 3 parents, and.
You find me someone married this long that has not had any, struggles, challenges, ups and downs. Like, I'd love to meet them. So yeah.
I don't think Jesus or Buddha got married.
But how this all started.
Okay. Well, I'll do some background, and then I'll tell the first piece, and then I'll pass it to you. How's that sound? In terms of, so first and foremost, we're high school sweethearts. So we have been in relationship, not always dating and not always together, but we have been in relationship for fundamentally
long time. It's been a long time. Let's just say that.
Really about 35 to 37 years. So in terms of the ups and downs and all those sorts of things, that's significant. And so we got together. We've been entrepreneurs together. So we built businesses together. We raised 2 boys together. And what transpired for us is that there was sort of a crux that occurred that I'm going to say maybe 12 or 13 years ago, where we started the process of coping in our lives, not really focusing on creating in our lives. Mm-hmm. And I just want to be really clear about this, is that if you ever get yourself into a circumstance where you sell a business and it lands back in your lap, if you ever get yourself in a circumstance where your dad dies and it triggers some depression, if you ever get in a circumstance where you get a brand new child, if you get in a circumstance where your money gets taxed, all those sorts of things, what happens is individually and as a couple, your coping strategies come up. And that's the good news. That is the good news. It'll happen for us again. It'll happen to you. It happens to everybody. But the trouble spot is when that coping strategy becomes not a method and means temporarily to come back together, but it actually lays the tracks. So I think that like a wagon track that gets stuck in the rut, where the coping strategy becomes the lifestyle. And truly what happened for us is that we had 3 years that was okay. We had 3 years that was pretty challenging, and we had 3 years that was effing awful. I don't know how else to put it. It was just really because we kept trying to get back together, but like the ruts of the wheels got stuck again. And that led us to a really, really tough spot, which is I had a conversation with Cory. It's like, we can't have this conversation again. I don't have it in me to have this conversation again, so we got to do something. What we did didn't really work particularly well. She spent time looking at condos in our community, going, well, I guess I could live there if shit falls apart. And we were struggling.
And just to be clear, we weren't fighting. Like, we didn't have, when you think couples struggling, it's like loud arguments and, I'm leaving you. And it was not like that. It was, we were just handling our lives and doing our thing, but we weren't communicating. We had this friction. We were, like you said, parallel lives. We were just, each doing we were becoming more like brother, sister, roommate relationship versus husband and wife, and had trouble bringing that back.
And I think in the process of those 10 years, the resentments and the hurts and the judgments and those sorts of things just kept it apart.
Yeah.
So fast forward to 2020, I have a dear friend of mine who runs medicine journeys, and he invites me. Actually, I should back up, by the way, because this is an important part. For about 5 years prior to that, we were invited to do medicine journeys, and we just had such judgments, misunderstandings, and stories about it. And it was like, we're not doing that. That's for dingbats who just want to go get high. And it's like, that's not. No.
We didn't know. We're like, that doesn't even make sense. Why would we do that?
Yeah. Like, seriously, like that's how far out of the box it was for us. Like, it's not just a little bit. Like, we were just in judgment and misunderstanding.
And it would do what? And it would help us with what? Like what? I don't understand.
I have to say also that I don't know if I guess we could call it judgment, but it was just more like, oh no, I don't need that. Like it was just like, no, it's gonna be fine, like, and then so I'll pause there. But yes, I also had some judgment.
All four of us are not alone in that. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I keep smiling about, this is a little tangent to our story. I keep smiling about people who will reach out and say, it's like, yeah, I totally know what you're talking about because I do breath work. And it's like, sweetheart, breath work is incredibly powerful and a transformative tool. And to say that breath work is the same as the medicine that we use is the same as saying a pizza is the same as a filet mignon. They're just not the same. They're both great, but it's not the same. Anyway, so back to the story is that
together they're very powerful, but
together they're spectacular.
Yes.
Anyway, so I have a friend who says he leads these journeys. Am I interested? And I think it had just gotten to the spot where it's like, I was just open to anything because I knew we were in trouble and I knew I needed something and I knew this had to shift. And for whatever, all of those combination of things, I'm like, okay, but I still don't have a clue what I'm getting myself into. And to be clear, in high school, I sold a little weed and hash and those sorts of things. I kind of thought it would be like smoking a little weed, watching the sun go down with my team and a bunch of people that I really like, and they'll be great. And I have this incredible breakthrough, which was like a ray of light shining upon, if we look at the brick behind us, shining upon a brick wall. And each one of those bricks was a little justification, was a little story, was a little deception that I was telling myself about our relationship that was between us. And those little stories were, this happens to everybody. Those little stories are, I can put up with it. The little stories are, it's just dealing with kids. The little stories are, and all of those things. And it was just like this light shone upon this brick wall. And I have this moment of truth. And by the way, what was beautiful about it, it wasn't judgment about me. It wasn't judgment about Cory. It wasn't any of those sorts of things. But there was this great clarity that those deceptions and justification need to be gone. And I need to take care of myself to move on. That was it. And it was like nothing, there was no conundrum, there was no wrestle. It was just like, ta-da. Like, and I couldn't have ignored it. Like, honest to God, if there was somebody with a gun to my head, I couldn't have undone that or ignored it or not acted upon it.
I think,
So,
if you don't mind me interrupting, Jay, I think that's one of the most powerful aspects of this whole experience is that the recognition that where you're at is not helping you grow and propel forward in your life. And you mentioned a key word there, Roz. We're doing fine, right? A lot of people are okay doing fine in life, but never knowing what more they can achieve at the same time.
And for me personally, like, this is why I'm obsessed with personal and spiritual growth, is because my quote unquote pain is staying the same. Like, I'm not the same person I was last year, maybe not even 2 months ago. So for me, it's deeply important to keep evolving and just to be a witness and just keep looking at what is our ego saying.
So well put. And here's the fascinating part to this is, at that stage of the game, and I think you have the same beliefs that we have, which is our physical bodies are nothing more than a reflection of our belief system and our circumstance and what we're carrying and all the rest of it. So from the moment of the truth telling to getting on the plane to coming home. So I was the heaviest I'd ever been in my entire life. The night that I took the medicine the first time, 203 pounds. And when I got home, less than 24 hours later, I was 193 pounds. I quite literally lost 10 pounds in 24 hours, simply telling the truth and promising myself that I was going to let go of the justifications of the story and all the BS that I'd been carrying. 10 pounds was just freaking gone.
Oh, that's powerful.
And we're not selling this as a weight loss program.
But that's the byproduct.
Well, it has been for us.
It really has been. I have to say, like, following you both on social media and just seeing how, like, I'm just gonna say it, sexy you have become, just sexier and just like fit. And honestly, you can feel the energy between the both of you in your photos. So
well, the man on the back of the book is very different than the man in the video right now, right? and to the better, right? So.
I just showed when I was at your home for a private mastermind. I just recently private messaged Jay this picture of me and him and holding this book. So that was 2018, I believe, Jay. So 4 years ago, you look completely different.
Yeah.
Like you.
And honest to goodness, I feel completely different. I just, it's not the same. So I come home in this transformation, and I think, well, I don't think, I know, part and parcel of where our stuckness was that we couldn't get through is that I wanted her to change and she wanted me to change. And when I came home with the truth, and it was like, listen, I must do this and I'm doing this and I love you and I'd love for you to come with. And I totally understand if you don't want to and you can't. It's okay. But I am losing weight, I'm growing my hair, I'm fixing my teeth, and I'm getting on with creating a life where I feel fulfilled, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and sexually. Because that's one of our ongoing trouble spots was the distance sexually. It wasn't that we didn't love each other and all those sorts of things. We just couldn't get, I'd say, on the same page or consistent enough that worked. And it was like, I must do this, and I really hope that's going to work out. So I'll pass it to you, my love.
Self-love, choosing self first.
Just to add, it took him a few days because I think you had to process everything, and also knowing my reaction to him taking medicine, and I wasn't there or a part of it, and didn't even, we always said we would never do this. So we had the talk, and that talk turned into thousands of hours of talks. And where I was at the time, he was traveling and gone sometimes 2 weeks out of every month.
Often.
And for, the years leading up to this, I honestly was feeling like a single parent, and I was taking care of the kids and doing this and doing that. And we would have conversations where I felt like he was saying, like, you're not doing enough. What are you doing all day? And I would just, and we couldn't talk about it. And I was resenting the fact that I wasn't feeling valued and acknowledged for everything that I was carrying and handling while he was off traveling for 2 weeks out of every month. So that was building up between us. Yeah. And as anyone here knows who's in a primary relationship, when it comes to sex in the relationship, it's probably not going grand when you've got this stuff between you. You've got the resentments building up. You've got the no communication. Or you're trying to communicate, but it's just like this constant friction. When you've got the frustration and the anger and all of that was just bubbling between us. And it was like at a low kind of, surface I don't know how to explain it, but
I've got words from our teenage son. So I freaked out on him one time and he goes, well, that was crazy. You went from 0 to 110% in 14 seconds. It's like, that's not true. We have been at 97% for 2 weeks about this particular issue.
And then all of a sudden, boom.
So just to be clear, so I think that we were just at this, just under a boil, everything okay until it wasn't.
Right. So then we had to, we had to go from there. And that's sort of how this whole journey started for us.
So I wanted her to of course, try the medicine right away. COVID just starts right at the beginning of this thing. The whole world is locked down. We have some difficulty actually finding safe sources and all those sorts of things, but we do start a ritual of time together, long conversations. And I think the most important thing for this, and we still are so grateful that COVID happened. It's like COVID happened just for us. It was like, I know there was some negative impact or a lot of negative in the world, but it was like, it saved us.
It's perfect timing because we needed that time. Like if we had to get on a plane the next 3 days and take off again, we wouldn't have had the time we needed to, to bring ourselves back together. So that happened. I mean, it was ironic how that happened.
So we started exploring with different medicines. We started exploring what journeys look like. We started exploring what does it allow for us? Like, how did this ray of truth happen like that when I'd been struggling and carrying a bunch of that stuff for like a decade? So how, where? So we became what I would call avid amateurs in terms of testing and trying. And COVID was the most perfect time in the universe. We didn't have to worry about the kids. We didn't have to worry about school. It was just this beautiful time. And we fell into this cadence of a ritual that was, the world can take a flying leap. And the most important thing in the entire universe is each other. And I guess the other thing that I want to say, if there's anyone here in a relationship listening, where it's like, you can recognize that you're leading parallel lives, that you can recognize that there's an ongoing resentment that's just causing a rub and those sorts of things. One of the things I am most proud of for both of us is that, because we were in a spot where we were both hurt and run down, is the best summary of that, is that we both got really curious about how the hell, for two people who have some tools, for two people that are still in love with each other, for two people that have some resources, how on earth did we get here?
How did we not figure this out sooner? I mean, we, like you said, Rosalyn, earlier, we've facilitated couples weekends and retreats for years. Couples would come in the exact same space we were. And although that was pre-kids.
I was pre-kids.
I laugh about that now. I'm like, you know what? We did all those seminars and we didn't even have kids yet. Like, that was insane.
Wow, I didn't know that about you both.
But it definitely makes a difference. And we just thought we can figure this out. Like, we can do this. But it's like, trying to find the elephant in the room, and you're the elephant. We were struggling.
You don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I guess I would just say this about medicine journeys and all those pieces, is that the science is really clear. And this is the other thing. It's like, I am, I won't go down that road. I just going back to the judgment piece of, I just judge people who did this as they wanted to get high and they wanted to avoid their life, their world, all the rest of it. And the very truth of it is, intentional use of medicine is exactly the opposite. Is I want to let go of my conscious protections and excuses and justifications and friction, so that I can set that aside to be my true self in presence of the woman that I love most in the universe. And in that space, magic happens. And that is why, after becoming avid amateurs, it was like, you know what, if we sort of muddled our way through to these miracles, what if we actually got some training? What if we actually understood more of what this looks like? What if we could understand the science more? What if we could help the people? Which, by the way, here's just another weird thing. So where we live, and there's a dog park just directly.
Yeah.
Quite literally, we had people texting us on Facebook saying, "Hey, I'm going to be in the dog park. Could I come over? Because I've been watching you guys and I want to know what you're doing, and can you help us?"
Can we talk?
Like, literally, people came to our front door for help watching what transpired. And it's like, well, we should probably learn more.
And also through this process with each other, we were individually, we could feel ourselves shifting and changing. Yes. and not even realizing how is this even, I mean, the conversations, yes, and all that, and we had the space and time, but we could feel the effect just on our own individual selves. Like I didn't feel like the same, I'm not the same person I was in March 2020, and neither is he. I don't want to say it changed us, our intentional use of it, and our, you know, how
our integration, our day-to-day integration.
Yeah. And we're like, and started saying, oh my God, there are so many people I know and so many couples, and we would have conversations and couples would be like, oh my God, we're in the same place. We're struggling with this. We're struggling with this. And all of a sudden the truth started coming out from people we were talking to.
And we were like,
and you realize, you know what, everybody has their own shit, right? Everyone has their own, and this could, oh my God, if this did this for us, could you imagine how this could support, you know, these people we know and these people, and then we started thinking in that way about, you know, how to really bring this support to other couples initially that we just really loved and cared about, is how it began.
Yeah, that's true. I just want to say one other thing about being different people. So the morning after my first medicine journey, if you'd asked me what I would hope for and what I'd be happy with in terms of my life and our relationship and our sexual connection and our intimacy and our experience of teamwork and our experience of care and actions of love, what I would have told you basically would have boiled down to this. Like, we would check all those boxes. It's like, if I experienced double what I had today, that'd be a pretty spectacular life. And I swear to you right now is that if I had to settle.
And what he's really saying is having sex 2 times a week versus 0. But he's trying not to say that.
Tangibles there.
Double. I know exactly what you mean.
Yes, and the experience of feeling taken care of, like food and holidays and time for us
taking
and
care
support
of
for the kids,
and prioritized, and
feeling, you know, on the list and those sorts of things. If I'd had double, I would have said, hell, I just won the lottery. And I swear to you today, from who I was today then and who I am today, is that the scale as we changed kept breaking. And what I mean by that is like, well, double, I would never settle for double. Not even, that's not even possible. And what happened is we kept saying, like, we don't know how to measure or contextualize or talk about what we have created because it doesn't fit on any scale we ever had in our lives. Mm-hmm. So, you know, what I hoped was double is now way over like 10x and intensity 1000x. And by the way, I'm talking about getting breakfast delivered to me in my office every morning while I'm working.
Sure you are. Talking about breakfast.
Breakfast, quote unquote.
Everybody is listening to this show because they want to learn how to have better breakfast.
Oh, that's right. That'll be our code word.
Anyway, yeah. The scale just,
oh my gosh. This is so good. What we're going to do is we're going to take a break. And when we come back, I'd love to have us talk a little bit more about our experience in working with you, Jay and Cory, and also have you share some of the other tangible results, you know, besides a breakfast that happened because of this powerful medicine journey. So
awesome.
Thank you.
OMTimes TV. Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. OMTimes Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, OMTimes offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an OMTimes magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on OMTimes TV and broadcasting it across the extensive OMTimes radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. OMTimes. Open yourself to the possibilities.
Are you feeling maxed out working one-on-one with clients and you're deeply desiring to scale your business for more time freedom without sacrificing your income, but rather expanding it? Many of my clients who are light workers, healers, practitioners, and even coaches, they're often multi-modality, are coming to me because they are sick and tired of working with clients on a one-off session model where the clients are coming in on an as-need basis. Or if they're selling packages, they are selling them in the sense of buy 5, get 1 free, or the greater the number of sessions, the greater the discount. The problem with this is it's still a dollar for hours business model. And so that leaves the practitioner feeling really exhausted and overwhelmed from having to put so much time, effort, and energy in finding new clients that they're not operating in their most elevated self with their current clients. And so if this is you, I would love to share with you that it's time to elevate your business and scale it to sell high ticket one-on-one programs or even group programs. This will allow you to have more deeper impacts because you're raising your clients' results, you're scaling your business, and you're having that time freedom you deeply are yearning for. If this is resonating with you, love, I'd love to invite you to come on a soul business alignment call with me so that you can stop feeling like you're on this roller coaster ride and start to feel safe and stable and even having fun in your business and your finances. Please go to electrifymybusiness.com to apply and we'll hop on a call. I can't wait to connect.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
All right, welcome back, loves. We are back, and so what we're going to do is we're going to actually talk a little bit more about why we decided to try this connection experience with Jay and Cory. And as well, Jay and Cory, maybe start, I think we need to turn down our volume. Maybe we can start with what kind of couples are appropriate for this couples experience that you have created.
I'll just run through the 3 super fast.
Yeah.
Okay. So top of the list is this. We are finding a significant number of what I'm just going to call adventurous couples. Often those adventurous couples are on their second marriage or something like that, who are, listen, I'm not going to make the same mistake I made before. And I am not going to settle for the in the box. I am not going to do the routine. And I'm certainly not going to fall to coping because I know what that feels like. And we ain't doing that. So we have a bunch of couples who are like on their second. And by the way, that's not always the second round. Sometimes the first round was like, I'm doing this in a meaningful manner. Yeah. So just to be clear. And it's like, we're going to go and experience new things together that are outside the box. Because if we look carefully inside the box, that ain't where it's at. So that's number 1. Number 2 are couples who are probably somewhere in the 7 to 12 year range, have kids, and are in this spot, which is we're actually doing pretty well, all things considered. And we also can tell the truth that if it stayed this way over time, this is not going to last. So this is one of the things for us, and I just want to do a sidebar real quick. Like 5 years prior to us having our medicine experience, when we knew we were having troubles, when people were suggesting it to us, and we thought we'd navigate our way through in another way, I so wish we had tried this because we recognized this distance was becoming this distance and this distance and this distance and this distance. but we dismissed this as a solution. Anyway, so there's a lot of people who's like, we're doing okay. We see that we can tell the truth about what's going on. We're not setting each other off. But if it stays like this, that is not going to work, and it cannot last like this forever. So
they just want to shake up. It's just like meh, and doing our thing, and they want some adventure and fun and something different.
Well, and I would say yes, and I would say underneath that, there's still they want that shake up because they can't keep doing it that way forever. Mm-hmm. Then the third are couples like us who are in jeopardy, and it's like, goodness gracious, we're still in love. We would love to figure this out. That it's not broken, but it soon will be unless something significantly shifts. And those are really the three categories of folks that come to us. Very different reasons, very different experiences. And what's beautiful about the medicine and how we set up the connection experience is the experience meets you where you're at. So we've got some couples, like two I won't mention, who sort of just dove right into the sensual and sexual experience, and it's like that.
I wonder who that was. That leads us into hearing your experience, doesn't it?
Well, and let me just finish the thought, and then we'll go back. And we have other couples who is like, even after their second experience, it's like, you know what? The sensual sexual attraction is there, but what we actually really need to do is just to have this heart-to-heart conversation and connection in a space where we can say and feel and experience fully. And that's what we call the connection experience, not the sexuality experience. It's not the conversation experience. It's the connection experience. So those are the three sort of core categories. Would you add anything?
No, that was perfect. Yeah,
that's beautiful. We'll talk about a little bit about why we joined. Do you want to start there?
Well, one of the big draws for me was, me being more analytical, left-brained, and analyzing every single aspect was just, it had so much appeal to take me out of my comfort zone and just to be fully authentic. Now, Roz and I, we have great conversations at home, but there's kids in the background. There's all the distractions of day-to-day life. So we removed ourselves from that and had the experience. We went to a new city. We didn't have the kids. It was it was fantastic because we were in a new environment, and it just took us out of our comfort zone, for me especially. So that was the small thing had a big impact.
Yeah, and I would say you both, Jay and Cory, you both described they're adventurous couples. I would say that's one of our values is we're very adventurous. I mean, those of you who've been listening to my podcast TV show for a while, Dan and I don't hide how adventurous we have been. So we have ourselves. So in the name of personal and spiritual growth and this human being experience. And for me also being a shamanic practitioner, I knew the power of medicine already. I had not done psychedelic medicine, but I've done quite a few quite a few experiences of plant medicine at this point. And then Jay and Cory putting on, no brainer. So, and for us personally, from my perspective, it was, I wanted to have that feeling of, often when we get into a relationship, the very first time, you're in the honeymoon stage. And I freaking love that like tension of the sexual tension and the flirting that happens, the courting that happens. And of course, us being together for 20 years, married for 16, I'm just like, okay, like it's like we have a really great flow in our relationship. And I would love to have that more flirty. That was one of my hopes, was that Dan would be more flirty with me.
Mm-hmm. And I was going to say, talking about breakfast, when that is on the plate, so to speak, it's often, going after stories about how, it's a new experience and that first connection, that just all the flirtation around there. So that's a very important aspect for my wife here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Totally get that. Can I ask a quick question? You're talking about the stepping outside the analytical and all of those pieces. One of the things that one of our other couples said that I just wonder if this applies is that, and they've done a whole bunch of couples work, like the Gottman Institute and blah, blah, blah. They've done all those sorts of things. And what she said at the end, she goes, you know what? I feel like we covered more ground in these, and this was on day 5, just after the actual journey on day 5. I feel like we've covered more ground than we have in all of those other courses, but we had way more fun. It's like for the first time in my life, there's an experience of healing and building and moving the relationship forward that was not work. So did that have anything to do with that stepping out of the analytical for you, Dan? I don't know. I'm curious.
Yeah, that's a component of it. I think for me, it's actually the theory and the execution. Like, you can sit in a Tony Robbins event and there's 3,000 people and you can listen to him speak and you can feel motivated, but you haven't done anything about it yet, right? Mm-hmm. So when you have that connection experience through personal development courses or through an experience like what you've offered us, it's you embody it. And to me, that's what was much more impactful than just a theory. It's actually doing it, actually connecting.
Yeah, it's the experiential that happens in the moment. It's the application. So for us, I'm sure the audience is like, well, what happened? Well, we're going to tell you like the G-rated version, but
breakfast and then some breakfast, and then we had an after breakfast, and we had a before breakfast, next breakfast, and then
well, I loved how you both had really just consciously curated this whole process. So from even before we met, there was homework with every single day for a week on setting our intentions, and then taking action even before we were physically the four of us together. And then when we met, it was going over the expectations. You were really amazing at creating sacred space. Again, before we even met. Had I not known you both, I trust you both deeply anyway, but you're very good at really creating that safe space. And so once we met, setting intentions, card pulling, I was like, oh, you guys got more spiritual. This is amazing.
It's different context.
And just really beautiful to be in this field of setting intention and then taking the medicine. And then people are like, well, were you guys all in the same room together? No, we had our own private hotel room down the hall.
Just to be clear.
That too. It's like, my partner's very private and I don't think he wants to do this with, no, you're not doing anything with a bunch of people. Just to be clear, you're in your own room, but except for the very beginning. So the part you're talking about, the intention setting. And
so I just wanted to say this loud and clear. So you do 5 days of prep leading up to the journey day. The day of the journey, we all get together for about 1 hour. In that 1 hour, we reinforce intention. We do a little bit of paperwork. We make sure that you're on the same page. We lay the foundation of the love bubble, and you take the medicine, and then you go to your private space where you remain in your private space because what you're about to do is pretty private.
Thank you for laying that out, that framework out. Because people were like confused, and I'm like, no, we are on our own. And you guys are there for support. You both are so great at just checking in by texting, just making sure if you needed something ice. You would go get us ice.
I still laugh about that, by the way. That's the funniest thing ever.
Oh no, we had to ask for more towels. Oh my gosh, what a story. Well, okay. So to put that in context, so
this I want to hear.
We made a mess in the bathroom. Let's just put it that way. We had a lot of fun. But I want to share that experience when we first took the first round of medicine, and how there's this concept of slide. It's like, for those of you who know how, if you meditate, right, and we move into this different state of being, and everything starts to quiet down in your mind. Now, this is kind of like taking meditation, and I would say amplifying the effects of that. So you literally for me, being an avid meditator, and Dan can speak about his experience, I just slid right into that flow state. You literally feel like you're in this dreamland and you're floating, but you're super conscious and grounded.
She went from 0 to 60 in about 0.24 seconds here. So, whereas, for me, I was still in my analytical mind for a while, but I didn't feel like I was holding back at the same time. I was still able to slide in and experience what I needed to experience.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And at this point in that first, probably I don't know, time does just, you just lose track of time.
Time goes away.
There's
That was
no
about
time.
an hour and a half, right? Because I think that was the
Definitely, yeah.
mark where you guys would check in with us. But it was very beautiful in our conversation and our flow, and of course the kissing. You guys, I got rug burn.
Here's mine.
But the conversation was just.
Rosalyn, that's not a rug. That's not a rug.
We are doing a lot of code speaking today. And then it just for us, because of where we were at, you know, in our relationship, we flow in our conversations typically on a daily basis, but it just drops us deeper into a braver, more courageous conversation.
Now, my main takeaway from this was there was no inhibitions. And that started from when the 5 days of prep in advance, where we had to, you know, process it and kind of get into the right mindset about it. So there's no inhibitions. But then, of course, at the actual experience itself, it was, well, there was no hesitation. I don't know what else to say. I had never experienced anything like that where I just felt so uninhibited like I did that.
Yeah. And I just want to say that first part, in terms of the first medicine, we call the attunement stage. Mm-hmm. And the attunement stage is, even with the 5 days of leading up, people still have busy lives, and some people are getting off airplanes coming from the States and all sorts of things. So as much as that works, there's still, for the connection experience to truly connect heart, mind, soul, sexually, emotionally, all of those pieces, there still has to be this time to land. Now, you two landed very quickly based upon the foundation of your relationship and those sorts of things. But sometimes it's that 90 minutes to 2 hours of quite literally just sitting and talking, holding one another's hand, giving each other a foot rub that just begins to build what we call the love bubble. So that's that first part. And you guys were just frankly a little faster and smoother than most, in all seriousness.
We have a strong foundation. What can we say?
Exactly.
But I love what you just shared. It's attunement. It really is. It's create that syncing with each other, right? In all dimensions. And so from there, when we took the second dose of medicine, woo! it's going to be R-rated, so we're just going to leave it there.
Like you're adorable.
Like sensory wise, this is why we're towels, because we made a mess and we were in the shower, and just the sensations on our body, and just like, I don't even know how long we were in
the shower was like the catalyst for opening it up.
Everything.
Right? And you know, like you mentioned, Jay, some people it's massage or whatever the case is. For us, it was a hot, steamy shower, right? So that was work. Yeah.
Oh my God, the person that had to deliver the towels.
So the funny story is, I phoned down to get some more towels, and the guy who brought it up, like this little meek little guy,
and he was just like, "Oh, like 2 towels?" We're like, "No,
can I get like 6 or 8?" And there's like obviously 2 of us in the room. When he brought it up, he didn't even make eye contact, and I said, "Thank you." And he kind of stopped. He was like,
I'm like, okay. So I have to tell a backup story to that. So. Okay. Roz and Dan are our very first couple in our beta test. We're trying to figure all this stuff out. So we say to them at the beginning, it's like, listen, if you need anything, you let us know. And now what we were thinking was, if you need help with medicine, if you need help with communication, if something like all the rest of it. And so I'm back at the room, and I get a call, and it's like, and it's Dan. And it's like, hey, could you bring us a bucket of ice? and I'm like, okay. So I hang it up, and I say to Cory, it's like, apparently I'm also room service. So I hustle down with a bucket of ice, and I come back and I say, it's like, they're doing great, and I'm so happy for them. So then a couple minutes later, there's another phone, there's another call. It's like, hey, could you bring us towels? And it's like,
we might need to have you call room service.
No. I took all of the towels from our hotel room.
That's
I take all of our towels to Dan, and I hand them over, and they're still in front. I come back and it's like, that's awesome. So not long after, there's another call. It's like, could you bring me more towels? and I'm like at Cory, and it's like, that's like room service. I gave you all our towels. What are you doing with them? So that's how the little guy came to the door.
Yeah.
funny.
That's
That
awesome.
is so funny. Okay, so I'm sure you both learned next time just to be clear about if it's a room service thing, call the room service.
Yes, we have added that in the process.
Yeah.
We have.
That's why we did these beta tests. We're like, oh, we adjust
Yeah.
here, we adjust there. Yeah, lots has actually been
Adjusted.
modified
Yep.
since you guys did it.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Oh, I bet it's probably been a very big learning curve for everybody. But
Yeah.
you know, I really want to have both of you share, how can people get to get more information about this? I know it's an application process. Tell us a little bit more about that process as we have a few minutes here.
Okay. Well, I mean, the first step, I guess, would be if you're interested. So the website that is on is that the one that they would click on? When you click on there, there's an opportunity to get more information. We have what's called a fireside chat, where we just answer like a whole bunch, our top 10 questions people have about the connection experience, about medicine, about all of that. And that's a really great place to start to, educate yourself a little more, and certainly can reach out to us and schedule a call to see if this is a fit and where that lands. And then there's an intake process where we, as you know, you completed some pretty detailed intake forms. What's most important to us is that it's a fit for the couple, and of course the health and different ways that the medicine works in your body. Like we talk about all of that. So there is a bit of an application process where you express your interest, we see if it's a fit, and then we move forward from there.
And I'm
missing?
I'm just putting the link here. So, and just to be real specific, the page that you're going to go to, which is the connectionexperience.love/ROS, ROS. That way we know that we can, that way we know that you watched it and you came from here and you came from a trusted source and all of those pieces. So go there. It'll give you a little bit of an overview. At the bottom, there is a little form, and that little form just says, hey, I'd like to know a little bit more. You fill out that little form, and then when you do that, you're going to get a page that's going to say, hey, do you want to listen to the fireside chat? And truly, that's the best sort of neutral, objective way. Grab your partner, grab a glass of wine or a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, whatever your little things, and just sit down and watch that. Because
see if it resonates.
And if it resonates, there's a button on below that says book a time. Click it, book a time, and then we can talk and see if it's a fit for you. And here's the honest goodness truth, and I want to say this. I truly want, and we've said this so many times, I truly want every couple who cares about one another to try this. Like we've said that so many times, like, oh my God, what if so-and-so, what is it like? And in the same breath, it is not for everyone. There are sometimes health concerns, there are sometimes health history, there's sometimes other things that don't make it appropriate, at least right now. Doesn't mean never, but not necessarily right now. So our greatest desire is to serve and support you to have this connection. And we will not ever budge on safety, on health, on consistency, on set and setting, on all of the pieces that are necessary for this to be right.
Yeah, and there have been some couples where we've said, this isn't a fit right now. Maybe in 6 months, maybe a year, that happens.
And I maybe tell them the other alternatives, like just there's couples journeys, there's individual journeys, there's a whole bunch of other things.
Well, we do offer an event called the Teas, and that is for people to just dip their toe in the water and just see how the medicine feels for them. They get a very like a tolerance kind of dosage, and that's like a little intro. And then we also offer couples journeys, where we have a couple come in and they each participate in their own journey and they come together at the end. So we do that as well for couples who aren't in the position to go to experience a connection experience. And it's, they just have different issues and things personally that they want to work on first. So we do offer that as well.
And those are beautiful as well. I mean, there's many options.
Yeah, they are.
I love that you have rolled this out. So it's like a step-by-step, and you're meeting people where they're at. That's so beautiful, Jay and Cory.
Right.
Thank you so much. And I want to also share, we probably could do another whole episode about this, but just the aftercare that you both debriefed with us the morning of. And it was beautiful to just really go through that conversation about debriefing the experience and what we can expect, and how are we going to, whatever transpired the night before, how are we bringing that into our relationship in our everyday,
right.
and having those practical action steps in that conversation was really important. So
and we do an integration Zoom with you as well the following week. We've actually stretched the back end out to another 5 days. So we do have another follow-up with you about integration and, as you just said, about how to make this part of your day-to-day life.
Exactly. So it's really beautiful. And thank you so much, Jay and Cory.
Thank you.
I
Thanks
love
for having us.
sacred. Oh my
I
gosh.
can't believe how fast this went. Oh my God, that like an hour's gone by.
Right? Yes. So thank you so much. Super excited for those of you who are feeling called to explore this couples connection experience with Jay and Cory. You have the link here. It will be in the show notes as well, whatever platform this is on that you're listening or watching, the connectionexperience.love/ROS. And I can't wait to hear how this goes for you if you do decide to work with Cory and Jay. Thank you so much, Cory and Jay.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.